Have you ever wondered why some of your relationships just seem to click while others feel like a constant uphill battle? Well, there's a powerful idea called attachment theory that gives us an incredible lens for understanding exactly that. It's a framework that doesn't just shed light on our childhood, but on the very way we connect with people as adults.
Is something we've all felt, right? This sense that our first bonds, the ones with our caregivers, have this deep, lasting impact. But how does that actually work? What's the mechanism that carries those early patterns forward years and years later? That's the central mystery we're going to unpack.
So, here's our game plan. First, we'll get a handle on what attachment really is. Then, we'll look at the revolutionary idea behind it. From there, we'll see the theory in action, trace how it echoes into our adult lives, and finally, we'll put it all in perspective and look at its strengths and its weaknesses.
All right, so let's start right at the beginning with that first powerful bond. When psychologists talk about attachment, what do they actually mean? Because it's way more than just liking someone.
At its core, attachment really does two main jobs. First, it drives us to want to be close to a specific person, especially when we're feeling stressed or afraid. And second, just being around that person gives us a unique feeling of safety. This isn't just a preference, it's a fundamental human need that helps us navigate all the world's uncertainties.
Now, the person who really brought this whole idea into the spotlight was a British psychologist named John Bowlby. Back in the 1930s, he was working with emotionally troubled kids, and he came up with a theory that completely changed how we think about the parent-child relationship. See, the main idea at the time was this thing called cupboard love. Basically, the belief that babies bond with their mothers just because they provide food. Bowlby came along and said that was totally backward. He proposed that attachment wasn't about being fed. It was a deep, built-in, evolutionary drive for comfort, for protection, and for security.
And this breaks down his core ideas perfectly. Bowlby really saw attachment as a survival mechanism. The caregiver acts as a secure base, which gives a child the confidence to go out and explore the world. But they're also a safe haven, a place to run back to when things get scary. And both of these are all about getting to that ultimate goal, felt security, that deep-down internal feeling that everything is going to be okay.
So a theory is one thing, but how do you actually observe it? How do you measure it? This is where Bowlby's colleague Mary Ainsworth came in and made a truly groundbreaking contribution with a now famous experiment she designed to reveal these hidden patterns.
Ainsworth developed this experiment called the strange situation. It's a carefully structured observation in a playroom, and it involves a series of brief separations and reunions with the caregiver. Researchers watched for two main things: how confidently the child played with the toys, and, this is the really crucial part, how they behaved when the caregiver walked back into the room. That moment of reunion, it revealed everything.
And this is what they started to see. Look at these different reactions. Most kids showed a secure attachment. They missed their parent, but when the parent came back, they went right to them for comfort and were easily soothed. Kids with an anxious style were extremely upset, and that reunion was really conflicted. They'd seek comfort, but also kind of push the parent away. Then you had the avoidant children, who acted super independent, didn't show much emotion, and pretty much ignored the parent's return. And finally, a fourth style, disorganized, was identified for kids whose behavior was just confusing and contradictory, without any clear strategy. Sometimes they even seemed fearful when their parent returned.
Okay, so these are fascinating patterns to see in toddlers for sure. But why do they matter so much? Well, according to the theory, they matter because they don't just stay in the playroom. They actually form the foundation for how we relate to other people for the rest of our lives.
This is the key. The whole thing works through what's called an internal working model. Think of it like a mental blueprint, an unconscious set of beliefs and expectations we build based on those first relationships. It's the blueprint that answers questions like, am I worthy of love? Can I actually depend on other people to be there for me? And that model guides us in our friendships, at work, and especially in our romantic relationships.
And this leads us to the theory's boldest prediction, which is called the continuity hypothesis. It basically argues that these early styles tend to continue on. A securely attached child, for instance, is more likely to grow into an adult with higher self-esteem and the ability to build strong, trusting relationships. Their internal blueprint tells them that connection is safe.
But, no theory is perfect, and it's really important to look at attachment theory from all sides. So let's talk about its incredible influence, but also some of the important debates that surround it.
The strengths are pretty undeniable. I mean, attachment theory has absolutely revolutionized fields from social work to education. It gives us a rich, holistic way to understand human connection, and it's guided so many real-world efforts that have helped strengthen family bonds and improve people's lives.
But there are some really valid critiques, too. Some argue that the strange situation might be measuring a child's innate personality, their temperament, more than the quality of their relationship. Others point out a potential cultural bias, since child-rearing practices are so different all over the world. And yeah, Bowlby's early work was heavily focused on the mother, though the theory has since grown to include all primary caregivers.
And this right here brings us to the most hopeful and empowering part of the whole story. Our early patterns, they're influential, absolutely, but they are not a life sentence. Psychologists now talk about earned security, the idea that we can actually reshape those early blueprints through new relationships, through self-awareness, and through transformative life experiences.
And that leaves us with a final powerful thought. Understanding our attachment style isn't about blaming the past. It's about gaining the power to shape our future. Which leads us to the real question here. If our patterns aren't set in stone, what are the experiences that have the power to reshape how we connect with the people in our lives?